Neon streets, they glow tonight. Questions buzzing in the light. Shayon's got answers cool and clear. Traffic truths you'll wanna hear. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. Brake lights flash under the moon. Sean's wisdom cuts through the gloom. Relaxed and fun with a steady tone. He makes the road feel like home. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. From stop signs to speed.
It's that time again. Happy Tuesday, everybody. My name is Sean Shapiro, your favorite former police officer, and I'm excited for tonight, not only because I'm going to be talking about a topic that I have been talking about nonstop for about a week, automated enforcement. We're talking about traffic cameras. Oh, yeah. Love them or hate them. You got something to say about them. We want to talk to you about it. And I say we because joining me on camera is the one, the only Brian Max, driver and lover of fast things. I think that's how you've described yourself in videos. Maybe not exactly, but sort of, kind of.
Close enough. Racer, lover of drive. I even forgot now.
It's a bunch of stuff.
Lover of driving fast, fun things. Yeah.
There you go. That sounds very familiar.
Yes.
Good to have you. I'm glad that you're able to join. We are going to have some fun tonight because this is such a polarizing topic. I have no doubt that people are going to be, having opinions.
They're definitely going to have opinions, and it's not just polarizing. People are coming at this argument from so many different directions. It's wild to see, and I have my own thoughts on this whole thing. But it's impressive the amount of attention that this is getting.
Truly. And I mean, I must have been on 5 different media outlets between CP24 twice. I've been on radio stations. I spoke at the city council for Vaughan. It's really been nonstop. And of course, I had an op-ed published in the Globe and Mail. So it's been busy all about this. And I've been having a lot of fun with it because it pisses a lot of people off, but they're wrong. At least that's my position. My position is they're wrong. Some guy called into Zoomer Radio today when I was on the Libby Znaimer's show for Libby Fights Back. And he was like, you have very linear thinking if you think that people should get tickets for speeding. And I'm like, I think you just want to defend speeding. But anyway, he was angry. By a little bit.
That's wild. I have a slightly different nuanced position on this.
Well, I look forward to hearing about it.
And I think the information that I'm able to share will be enlightening because it speaks to what's actually going on beneath the surface of all of this.
Now, just to let everybody else know, we'll get into all this great conversation in a moment, but not only are we on the channels for VoiceOver Cop, but we're also on the YouTube channel for Brian Max, and that is a source of incredible information. If you have never checked out his account, you need to check it out. You need to subscribe to his channel because if you want to learn about new cars, because you might be buying one, or maybe you just want to gawk at something you're never going to buy, whatever it is, he has been reviewing cars there for a long time, and you got great content. I'm very impressed, and I may have appeared in some things.
You may have appeared in some things, and we have another series on the go. So we'll have you all over YouTube in no time.
Awesome. That is at Brian Max on all platforms, and Davina Duckworth is coming in through your YouTube channel saying hello. and we have the technology. We can put that hello on the screen. Magical.
Look at that.
And Davina does have a question. And what is the question? Do we just jump into it? Oh, by the way, tonight you can actually be on the show. You can be on screen. To do that, DM us. What we'll do is we will actually, I'll send you a link. I'll send you an invite link, and you can jump. So I need your actual email address. DM me. I don't want you to put it on screen for everyone to see, because that just doesn't sound like a good security thing. But you can send it to voiceovercop@gmail.com. I will respond with a login link. That way, it's a real person, and we'll bring you on the show, and we'll have some fun chatting about it. But Davina has this question. Given that a 23-year-old woman was caught on the highway with an entire staircase on her car's roof, are drivers getting dumber? That's a different question altogether, isn't it? I got to say, I don't have that on
I believe
screen.
that's called a loaded question.
I normally have videos like that loaded for play. I don't have that one today. It's a good video. Have you seen? You've obviously seen this video.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
apparently,
it is incredible.
Apparently, they were not impaired, because the Peel Regional Police Officer who handles the Peel account reached out and said, "No, I made the allegation, the assumption. It's always wrong to assume, but I made the assumption that it may have been impaired by alcohol or drugs that would have played into that event, and apparently no. They just they done backed into something and then left."
Amazing. We could consider that being impaired by a lack of common sense.
That is, you know what? They need to add charges for that. They absolutely do. That needs to be added to the Criminal Code of Canada. Yes, or at least the HTA. Now we have Tian, who says, "Good evening, everyone." Good evening, Tian. Good to hear from you. And Brandon, who says, "Hello, Sean and Brian and all. Hope you had an awesome day." Brian says, "Have you driven the new Corvette ZR1 yet?"
No.
Is it ZR1 or ZR1? Which one's offensive?
Oh, Z offends Canadians, as I know, but until Canadians become the majority of my audience on YouTube, they're going to hear Z.
Very good. Now you've heard from Brandon before in previous conversations when you've guested on the show. He is the chap with the Dark Horse and a C8, if I'm not mistaken, and now the stable has grown to include the ZR1.
Yeah, no, well, I've had the good fortune of putting on 1,100 miles on a C7 ZR1 manual.
A manual, no less. I
Yes.
have one photo of me in a car with the man, the myth, the legend from the Ontario Provincial Police. We went for a lap around the Honda Indy track in his OPP emblazoned C8 with both our heads sticking out the top. So that's a thing.
Yeah, well, you're both unusually tall.
And I think he wears like thicker soles on his boots just so he can get me by an inch, but just not really making the allegation, but I think it's true. I'm just gonna go and check to see if we have mail popping in from anybody who might want to join us. Stand by, because it's gonna make sure I'm in the right account. I see a bunch of stuff coming in from TikTok. By the way, TikTok, if you are not following me, please do. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff all the time, and occasionally have great guests like Brian join me to talk about stuff and things. And tonight we're talking about automated speed enforcement. So if you want to talk about that, jump into the comments, start making some comments. And by the way, like, share, tap the screen till your fingers go numb. It really does help get more people to the party, and the more people in the party, the more interesting the conversation gets. What are you driving this week, Brian?
I just finished with a 2026 Kia Sportage X-Line, which is the non-hybrid refresh Sportage. It actually drives really well. And, got to say, for under 50 grand, you can't go wrong for a crossover.
Okay. And I'd fit in it?
No.
It's always
barely.
the question. Always the question.
Yeah. Whoever would be sitting behind you would not be comfortable.
Okay. This is really bothering me because I logged in earlier. Sorry, I'm going off topic for a second. I logged in earlier to the account, and now maybe I was in a different browser. Okay, let's go into a different browser. I want to get into the appropriate Gmail account so I can go and check and ensure that we are getting email from Ask a Traffic Hub. That's the email I shared. Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. We have Automotive Addiction who asks, who sets the fines for speed cameras, town, city, or government? And I can answer that. You want to weigh in, Brian, as to where you think it's all going?
Well, I know from experience it's the city.
Who sets the fines, or where the money gets it? They get the money.
So it's the fines.
So
that is the question. That's probably the province that sets the fines.
It's based on it's standardized fines for the province. They're doubled because it's a community safety zone, but it's provincial. Toronto doesn't have a higher priced ticket for an offense than anywhere else in Ontario. It's all standardized. Where the money goes, it's a split between the province and the city. The different deals for different provinces. I think City of Toronto gets a bigger chunk than others might. But the deal is it is all standardized, so no one's you can't go to Brantford and have a fine that's more expensive unless it was a bylaw. Bylaws they do set. So that's a thing.
That's the thing. But there's also whenever we're ready to get into the nuanced part of the speed cameras and I don't even know the best way to phrase this, because I think the best way to say it, from my experience, the city of Toronto has created a process in which it is impossible to defend legitimately against a speed camera ticket.
Well, they have, and they changed the laws in November. It changed that, or was it last year November? Is it changing November? It's either just changed or just passed. Last November. You no longer get to your day in court. You talk to an administrator. That's it.
Correct, but it's even more in depth than that, or more authoritarian than that. Let's just put it that way.
So they've
created a process. I love it. I just love that. When effectively, I can't remember when it was. Probably in May, I got a ticket, and quite legitimately, you can't see the speed limit sign when you're proceeding towards the camera. And what they've done is they've created a process with which they just ignore any evidence, and you have no opportunity to present other evidence.
How can
or subsequent evidence?
How can they not accept evidence? Like, if you have a legitimate thing, now I'm all for follow the law, but if it's a legitimate thing that the sign is obscured and you're doing 50 because that's what it was in the other street, and you got done for doing 10 over because it changed, but you couldn't see the sign because it was obstructed, you are not guilty.
7 over. Yeah, precisely.
You got a ticket for 7 over?
It may have been, I think that ticket was 7 over.
I've never even heard of one being that low.
Yeah, and it was at the bottom of a hill. Might be 8, but it's less than 10. Okay. I mean, I have the file here, but I presented evidence that the sign is obscured. I could share that with you, and you can show it on the screen. I have video and photo. You cannot see it from the driver's seat of a vehicle. It's impossible. And they didn't accept my evidence, so I'm like, no. So we're gonna have a chat. So I had a chat with the administrator, who had, through the process, could ignore the evidence that I provided and was unwilling to accept it.
That's
and
wild.
So I of course paraphrased, and I said, well, so what you're saying is that the city of Toronto's rules, process, procedures now supersede the Ontario Highway Traffic Act, which provides for speed limit signs to be visible to drivers.
It's kind of a law, like a thing.
Yeah, well, which I had with me, and he said, no, that's not what I'm saying, and blah blah blah, procedure, and I'm like, I provided evidence. It was ignored the first time. I'm providing it again because it was ignored the first time, and now you're ignoring it. And so what is happening in this process is you are now telling me that the city of Toronto's rules supersede the Ontario Highway Traffic Act.
There's
Thanks.
something fundamentally wrong with that. There's no way that they can throw out actual evidence. But speeding is speeding. But if you're not trying to speed, if you thought you were doing the right thing and it was an obscured sign, that's different than you choosing to do what you want. And that's clearly not what you were doing. You thought you were doing the right thing.
I guarantee I had that vehicle on some kind of cruise control, because otherwise I'll be going very, very fast. And and it would that camera is located at the bottom of a hill. So, given that I drive different cars every week, some cars are really good about maintaining the speed that's set on the cruise control, and
Yep.
others have a little bit of latitude, especially when you're going down a hill. And that was probably the case in this instance. But my brain that's velocitized, and my ability to stop a car quickly, I'm not so I might notice a 10 or 15 kilometer an hour difference at lower speeds, but in this case, I didn't. I certainly wasn't thinking about any kind of danger, because there's no traffic and
Well,
that
I
sort of thing.
hear
So
that. I hear that
this
a
was
lot. I hear a lot of people say that
sure.
it shouldn't. It feels like it can go faster, or it doesn't feel like a 40 road, and that they're built to accommodate faster. Thus, the speed limits are wrong.
Well, that's a whole other thing. So I may have said more than 100 times on my YouTube channel that we have juvenile speed limits in Ontario, but that's the surface level, right? And it's easy to say that, but there are many other considerations. So we have to consider the road surface, which is terrible. Because
Wow,
yes,
yeah.
I've driven all over Europe, and I understand how the Autobahn is surfaced, and it's not like here. Secondly, we have drivers that have to meet, eh, is the requirement to get a license in Ontario the ability to fog a mirror? I believe
That's
that's
breathing, right?
the requirement.
We have
Yeah.
incredibly low standards, and we've recently uncovered. I've been seeing it in the media. Truck drivers who have been acquiring driver's licenses fraudulently. I have no doubt that people of all shapes, sizes, and backgrounds have been doing things illegally to get and obtain licenses that they have no business having. That's a
Mm,
thing. So
mhm.
yeah, uh, we need to do
So
better.
we yeah, for sure. So yeah, I don't agree with these advocates for higher speed limits, because the road surface is not there. The skill set is not there just by the minimum requirements to earn a license, whatever that is. And then the other problem that we have as a driving culture is that we don't have annual safety inspections on passenger vehicles as they do in other jurisdictions, which makes a heck of a lot of sense, because oftentimes I'll look over at a car and I'll see the tires are completely bald, or I'll hear the brake pad backing plate dragging against a rotor, so they have no brake pad material.
Yeah, they're talking about bringing back an annual inspection, and right now, and
Mhm.
I didn't reach out to Melody tonight, who's our in-house mechanic, who's joined the show last week. Last week we did the show with Melody on screen the entire time. She's a mechanic who answered questions for the entire episode. It was awesome. So we may have to bring her back for another one soon. But the thing is, now in mechanic safety of vehicle, they photograph the sections that they're noting. So there's a different level of requirement there, which is good. But should this
Mhm.
be happening annually, or at very least once a decade, like something more than never?
Something more than once,
Well, when you buy the vehicle,
when the
register the vehicle,
vehicle's plated. Yeah. And I mean, I obviously I'm an advocate for better driver training, having taught racing driving, performance driving for a really long time. And it's when I see people doing stupid things on public roads, it's like, yeah, I can tell you have the most you've done is played Gran Turismo or Forza on Xbox.
there's a lot of questionable stuff. We got a whole bunch of questions. I want to move on to a couple of things. One,
Okay.
I White Shadow said, "Hey Sean, stunt driving. A friend told me that if you're in a speed zone 80 or less, it's 50 over. I was under the impression 0 to 80, it's only 40 is stunt. So would 120 and an 80 be stunt driving?" So you're right. Your friend is wrong. If you are in a speed limit under 80 or below 80, it's 40 over to get a stunt. If you're 80 and above, it's 50 over. So you can trigger it, and it's 150 anywhere. So if you're on a speed zone, you're on the highway and it's a 110 zone, 150 is still stunt driving. And a lot of folks get that wrong, and they think that, well, I can do 140 something because I can do 40 over and not get caught on the highway, and they're getting their stuff taken because that's 150 anywhere. But I'm seeing ridiculous speeds almost on all roads. On the 400 series, and I frequent Barrie, I am being passed like I'm not moving. There are multiple cars running in success, like together as a pack, doing all sorts of dumb stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, which just goes to the back to the usual point of take it to the track. Like I was at the racetrack last week, and I'm going to the racetrack next week, and I'll drive whatever speed I like.
That's where you do it, where it's safe to do.
Mhm.
Honda Miggs, friend of the show, has been here. He's been back for a couple episodes. Good to see you. He asks, can police officers run plates from their cruisers whenever they want, or is it something they need to call in, heard multiple things on it? So a police officer could drive around all day and punch in every plate they see. In fact, we have automated license plate readers in motor vehicles now that automatically check license plates that they come across without a police officer even having to type anything in, and they cross-reference every plate they see with a list of wanted subjects, whether it be suspended drivers, uninsured drivers, expired drivers, wanted persons, missing. It's all happening automatically, but you can manually run anything you want. There is no special rules, I mean, obviously it has to be for a police purpose. You can't do it to, because you think the person driving is attractive. That would be unlawful, but you can certainly run them because you're investigating them, period.
They also let's see. It's averaging about twice a year, I think, in the city of Toronto, where they do enjoy pulling me over because the automated plate readers recognize that I'm driving a vehicle without a front plate, and it doesn't recognize that I'm driving a manufacturer plate, which does not require.
It's one of the few plates that isn't required to have one on the front. Like dealer plates are the same situation, and it confuses some coppers. And I would be caught in the same thing. No front plate. I'm going to investigate why, and it's not till you get to the back and find out that it's. But a manufacturer plate doesn't look like a manufacturer plate. It's just a blue and white plate, right?
It's the MFR is vertical on the left side, and it's 3 numbers and 3 characters.
But it's not something that at a distance the average person would identify. It just looks like a blue plate, regular like everybody else.
Looks like
except it's only one. So it's worth it. It's worth a little further investigation. Stitch wants to know if there's rules about where police can set their radar, be visible for a certain distance. You don't have to be visible as a police officer. You can be hiding in the bushes. Absolutely. I'm a big man who stood behind a very skinny pole and people still didn't see me. But the truth is, I used to stand on the sidewalk wearing a reflective vest, holding a speed measurement device, and people didn't see me because I'm measuring you so far away that I'd be a speck in the distance. But there's no regulation. I don't have to. I can hide. I can be seen. It doesn't matter. Which I think is fair. I think if you're going to break the law, being able to hide and be invisible is good. That's why I'm such an advocate for unmarked vehicles. People tend to do the wildest things when they're in their natural habitat and there's nobody, from the humans watching them.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. I like every day, because I as you know, I spend a lot of time on the road because I'm always driving something, and I am just astonished by the amount of bad driving that everything from road rage to just treating driving as a distraction.
Davina has another question for you. Porsche was going to cancel the 718 Boxster in Cayman. They reversed the decision due to a drop in consumer EV demand. That's interesting. You're a big EV fan, aren't you?
I do enjoy driving EVs, but I wouldn't call myself an EV fan.
I thought it was just Teslas. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
we could go down that road, but now the Porsche's in a lot of trouble. I think they posted a 5 billion euro loss over their EV investment, and part of it was the cancellation of the Cayman and the Boxster. But they just announced yesterday or today that they're going to keep them. But there are various models of the 911 that are now hybrid. So that's another pet project of mine, is the electrification of the automobile. and we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But it's nice to see a little bit of pullback, and just like the automated speed camera debate, the EV debate is more nuanced than that. In motorsport, we're going to a sustainable fuel. So if that's the case, why are we not looking at sustainable fuels for internal combustion engine cars and that being a thing? And it's not. So it's a complicated thing, especially when you have politicians involved who are just coin operated and not fans of critical thinking.
Critical thinking. They say it a lot, but do they really do it? That's the question.
No.
I'm just
No, certainly not when it comes to the automobile, and that that's a bit of a problem right now. And this zero emission vehicle mandate thing is not going away. So unfortunately, what has gone away are some lovely internal combustion engine cars. So for fans out there, the Honda Civic Type R and the Acura Integra Type S are no longer available for 2026.
Ooh. Now, I interesting thing. A buddy of mine bought a Porsche, and it's an electric one. Goes fast. I can't get into it. It's way too small. He replaced his Panamera, the 4-door. Is that what it's called? The Panamera,
Yeah, the Panamera's a 4-door. Yeah,
the 4-door. I barely fit into that, but he went with the smaller, faster, more electric version. He loves it. Well, it works properly. And then there's I got an email today from Tesla saying if I want a brand new Model 3, brand new, it was a demo model. They have demo models that are offered at 16,000 below list. And if you have the option between an additional 5,000 or unlimited free supercharging for the life of the vehicle if you buy it now with their in-stock stuff. And I'm like, I'm not interested in buying a Tesla Model 3, but I like the idea of never paying to fill up. And I started thinking about, do I want to buy a car I'm not interested in just because I don't want to pay for gas anymore?
No. And you know what? You'll end up needing a home charger as well. So you're going to have that expense. I will say charging overnight at home is very inexpensive. I can charge your typical EV, charge from 20 to 100% or 20 to 80% for a couple of bucks. And
that's amazing.
That's probably, and what that represents in the real world is 200 to 300 kilometers worth of driving.
Insane. I could deal with $2 to $3 for that kind of driving. I don't do as much driving as I used to. I used to drive for hours and hours a day, and actually that's something that we're going to start talking about as of tomorrow, because I'm working with the fine folks at Sirius XM Radio, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow because there's going to be a press conference. But yeah, it's very cool. While you're in the car, you got to enjoy yourself. And yeah, I'm not going to talk more about it until then. If you want to join the show, if you want to be on screen, if you want to chat with us live right now, you can message, you can ask your questions. You can see that we're a little behind. There's hundreds of comments that have yet to be answered. But you can you can email me at askatrafficop@gmail.com, and I will respond with an email link to join the show right here on Zoom. You just use Zoom and you're good to go. Steve Chin says, hello, Brian and Sean. Looking forward to hearing some interesting conversations tonight. Well, I hope we're already at that point where you're already hearing interesting stuff. And it is just beginning. You got Brandon who says, question for Brian. What did you think of the C7 ZR1? I don't know what to call it.
Well, the episode is on my YouTube channel. I spent a lot of time shooting that episode, and it's one of those cars that I will never forget.
Well, that's something that is, and I will tell you that my head hitting the front and the back of the Targa top opening makes me never forget my experience in that vehicle. It is just not made for me. I absolutely love it though. I would like to buy a classic Vet, something that I fit into, because it used to be like a big man's sports car, and now it is no longer.
I don't know if there's any that you'll fit into, to be honest, except the convertibles.
Well, there is that. I did drive some of the 80s, 90s style, and they were I fit in them.
Okay.
I'm 6'5".
Okay.
I'm getting the alert that we have 10 more minutes on this Zoom call because we're using different technology and I'm experimenting with Zoom, so I have not subscribed, which means I need to reset that in 10 minutes, which is a good reminder. I'll play a few minutes of me speaking in front of Vaughan City Council on the topic of the most magical of magicals, their decision to dump the speed program, or the automated speed program, which I think is wrong. I think it's disgusting that they invested all sorts of money into this, and then because some people said, I don't like getting caught or being held accountable, and the mayor went on and said, well, these little old ladies driving to bingo, they're getting tickets because they're breaking the law. I mean, I don't understand how you scrap millions of dollars of taxpayer money invested because Granny said, I don't like getting tickets. And maybe it's his grandma. I don't know. Then there was a guy who said he got like a whole bunch of tickets, and he says, I don't know how I'm going to pay for the tickets and for the food because we'll just start freaking driving properly, and it's less of an like. I just don't understand where you reward the bullies with vindicated like anyway. I'm frustrated by this.
Well, that's a whole societal thing, and I appreciate that, but it's really not difficult to avoid these tickets.
No kidding.
It's not difficult. Now, I will say that the 4 cameras nearest to me in the city of Toronto are all cut down.
Really? So can we figure out that those are all people that are walking their dogs near yours? People responsible.
It could be my neighborhood Karen who believes my Labrador Retriever is a trained attack dog, but that's another story.
Oh yes. I'm well aware of this particular individual, and
because this particular individual has a different view of reality. So yes, anything's possible.
I got a whole bunch of stuff. We got the JJLI. I don't know your username. Can I go 120 in BC? I couldn't tell you whether you can go 120. I would suggest looking at the signs. They're a pretty good indicator as to whether or not you can go 120 legally. Automotive addiction went on to say, my mom got caught. Her ticket was $275. My guess is school zone. Well, here's the deal. Any fine on camera is a community safety zone, which means fines are doubled what they would normally be, which is significant. Janicki wants to know what car you would recommend for a 19-year-old today.
It's really, really easy. And I've just done that for a friend, as a matter of fact. So you have 3 choices as far as I'm concerned, without understanding anything else, but you want something that's safe, reliable, and does all the right things. And there are 3 cars that do that. And by safe, that's both active and passive safety. So they got to handle well, they got to brake well, all of that stuff. So to fit all that criteria, number 1, Mazda 3, probably the best driving of the bunch.
Okay.
Honda Civic, which is a little bit bigger, and then you have the Toyota Corolla, and in that order of driving satisfaction as well. So the Mazda is probably the most fun to drive. The Civic is a close second, and the Corolla is maybe a little more distant third. But those all 3 of those fit the criteria. And if we're talking used cars, I can't help. I don't look into the used car market, but if we're talking new cars, I can talk about that all day.
Nice. I would not fit in any of those comfortably, so I will choose to. I mean, listen, I say F-150. That's what I think everyone should drive. A lot of pedestrian safety groups don't agree with me. They think big vehicles are dangerous, and they do go over bumpy, fleshy stuff a lot different than small vehicles. But I don't have the choice. I don't fit in small vehicles.
Well, this is the thing, and part of this automated speed camera debate. And there's one whole faction out there that thinks that human beings should not own private vehicles and they should be taking public transit, and your choices should be restricted. And of course, the first things they want to come for, and I've already addressed this in a previous column when I was writing for Haggerty, the collector car insurance company. I addressed that because here in Canada, there's a bunch of people who believe that no Canadian should drive a pickup truck as a passenger vehicle.
Which is insane, because I will tell you that I have helped so many people move as a result of having a truck that will accommodate stuff and things that, everyone needs a friend like me with a truck.
That's right.
And so you've had a truck. Here's the deal. The people eating granola have no idea what they're missing. They are totally missing out on the best vehicle I've ever had, because you are above everything. You've got room. You're not attached to the person that's beside. There's a lot of benefits, and it's not just using more gas.
There is, and arguably you have better visibility to ensure that you're going to stop sooner and safely.
And when I hit the guy that caused the collision end of 2018, who drove out of a pack of vehicles because he had to go visit his dad for Christmas Eve. Yeah, he caused a collision, and when I hit him, he spun all over the place. His car looked like a little pinata that had broken open, and mine had a crunched hood and needed like repair, but that was it. So there's a lot to be said by driving something that's bulletish proofish or bigger. I like bigger. Let's see here. Davina Duckworth says, "Save the manuals. You're getting plugs for your clothing brand. Where can they get?
Yes.
You should have samples here, but I want to remind everybody.
They're behind me. I'll bring those up a little later
Sounds
in the
good.
show. Yeah.
A reminder to everyone watching: you can be on the show. You can talk to us real live, absolutely on screen if you want to, or just voice in the background. Your choice. But you can't join the show unless you email me to get a link to join the Zoom. But this is the first time. I hope we do this a lot. I'd like to be able to have guests on all the time, and having you, the audience, be part of the show in a real interactive way, no different than calling into the radio station that I was on this morning. It's awesome. And I want to make it happen for everybody. So anyone who wants to. So we're going to do that in a few minutes because I have to reset the Zoom. We will pause for a little video, and I'll do that, and we'll come back. It's almost like it's a commercial, but it's not a commercial. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting somebody sent gifts.
An energy drink.
Thank you for the gifts, Elam. I see you.
Nice.
A question of, what do you do if you see somebody on their phone while driving? I'll tell you what I did in the past before. I pulled them over.
You ticketed them?
I did. I was a cop. Exactly. I pulled them over, even whether I was on duty or off duty, depending on how egregious it was. If you think that person is a risk to everyone around them, that they're actually swerving all over the road, I'd call 911. If it's more than just they're glancing at the phone, if they're all over the road, a hazard to everyone, it's an emergency, in my opinion. If they're just managing to be on it might be a non-emergency line if they're not a priority. But the reality is no one's going to get there in time to catch them. If the cop's there, they're there. If they're not, they're not. You can make a report though online. Toronto Police, tps.ca. You can make online reports, because even if they don't catch them, you can make the report saying, I saw them at this date and time. They were doing stuff on their phone, and then a letter goes to the registered owner saying, hey, whoever the fool was behind the wheel of your car, tell them to stop playing with the phone. Like, that's essentially what we do, but a nice speak. Totoro Sharut says, if a cop sees me riding an electric scooter, can he give me a ticket? We're really on topic tonight. But we're talking about electric. We're talking about electronic speed enforcement, or a photo speed enforcement. And this is actually a very good question. Yes, because you're on a vehicle. At very least a vehicle if you're in a compliant area. You're on a motor vehicle if you're in a non-compliant area. Like, you're not allowed to ride e-kick scooters in Toronto. They could charge you for all sorts of stuff. You recently did some testing on a e-kick scooter. What'd you think?
So there's an episode on my channel for the Highboy Max Pro, which is one of those stand-up things that you see Uber Eats ride in my neighborhood. And I thought it was great because I took it out to the country to a dead-end road where the road surface is perfect, smooth. There's no seams in it. It's lovely. And I'm like, okay, this isn't so bad. And then a couple of weeks later, I had to run an errand. Mm-hmm. So I decided to take the scooter. And what a disaster that was. The road surface is so bad that let's add some context for this. I've been racing BMX bikes since I was a kid. I won a national championship on a BMX bicycle, downhill mountain bike, and I slightly know what I'm doing on two wheels, a little bit less so than on four wheels. So it took about 2 minutes for me to determine this was a disaster and I was going to hurt myself. And that was the last time I rode it.
That was it.
Yeah, done, sold. It's gone.
I have one in the garage with a busted rear tire because I was too heavy for the tire, and I popped it. I bought a solid rear tire, and I just never got around to changing it. I got to say that in some situations I really enjoyed it. Mine didn't have any legal bone in its body. You describe it as that. It was a compliant one that didn't do over 24 kilometers an hour. But it was really easy to ride, and as long as the roads were good, as you said, because when they're not, it's bad. But if the roads were good, it was a pleasure, and I really like it for trade shows and stuff. I used to ride around the Hyundai Indy. Oh, here we go. We lost Brian. Let's bring Brian back. Here, I'll put the video on for a second. You can catch a moment of me.
My name is Sean Shapiro. I am with the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. I'm a former police officer. I was the face of traffic services for Toronto Police for the last number of years, and I've developed quite a following online, most of which is engaging the public in discussing topics like this, answering questions to help educate and make roads safer. And what I tend to hear is that people don't like ASE. Okay, I get it. They don't want a ticket. But why? It's because they're getting tickets because they're breaking the law. And the loud voices in opposition of these systems are the violators themselves. Obviously, people not getting ticketed have very little to say on the matter. And those, unfortunately, are our bullies on the road, making roads less safe. Many people don't believe that the speed limits are effective or appropriate, that 30, 40, and 50 kilometer an hour speed limits are unreasonable. Well, the reasons behind it are safety. The slower the speed, the more chance that someone struck will survive that collision. A child or elderly person at 30 kilometers has much better chances of surviving than they would at 50 or 60 kilometers an hour. And that seems to fall on deaf ears because the people who are, again, going through these neighborhoods at speed have somewhere to go, something more important to do. And unfortunately, I don't really care what they do. I care about the safety of the people of Vaughan and then the rest of Canada and the world for that matter. I want roads to be safe. I have a whole presentation, but I really want to focus on other things that have come up. That is speed bumps. It's great, but it punishes everybody. It also impacts emergency services. Police, fire, and ambulance are slowed when they're arriving to help people. Patients in the back of an ambulance leaving the scene to go to the hospital are then slowed and or bumped around the back of an ambulance. It does impact other people other than those who are specifically violating. Really, the ASC is great because it targets only the people who break the law. And you can avoid ever getting a ticket by simply not speeding. Many people say, well, it's not fair to have only a 10-kilometer gap because a police officer would give me that grace. Well, I can tell you that I wouldn't, as a police officer in an area around a school, give you any grace. If you're in a 30 or 40 kilometer an hour zone, I would stop someone for doing anything above because it's to change behavior. It's not about making money. Even if it's a minor ticket, it changes their behavior next time, or at least we hope it does. When it comes to the grace of a machine, they're already getting a percentage over that they're going to be able to get away with. And thankfully, we don't publish those numbers accurately because that becomes the new unofficial speed limit. If we tell people they can go 10 kilometers over, they simply go 10 kilometers over. Studies have actually shown, or surveys, I should say, from the CAA have actually said that 46% of people will avoid a route that includes an ASE, not because they're concerned for the safety of the children in there, although that would be a great option. It's because they know they're going to speed and they don't want to get caught.
Yeah, I had a lot of things to say, and I don't think the mayor was very impressed while I said them. Needless to say, after my my 5 minutes of fame, a few other people spoke. They broke, and they came back and said, "Yeah, we heard from all those people with all those great statistics, all those numbers where it said that automatic speed enforcement works and is effective and makes roads safer. We're going to scrap it because some people got caught and they don't like it, and they vote for us." I mean, that's really what I heard. In fact, I have the entire video, and I want to take some bits and pieces out and share it with everybody because it's gross. It's really gross to hear people say it works, but we're going to stop it because we want to have your back. When you break the law, the government wants to have your back because I guess we don't agree with that law either. What else are they saying? We've got lots to talk about specifically on the topic of automated enforcement.
Yes. Well, I think, I do think that this is very much a polling related issue, especially at the provincial level, which is why the premier is suggesting that these cameras need to end. But we'll see. On the other hand, I mean, it's so easy to pick at individual issues. And the city is, doubled down or quadrupled down. The city of Toronto, that is, has doubled down or quadrupled down on the numbers of these cameras because they generate a lot of revenue.
But they're only taking money from people who break the law, so I don't sympathize. I think we should take that money and build something pretty with it.
I have lots of ideas. We could build a permanent a racetrack on the Portlands or something like that. That would be fun.
There's a nice track just north of the city being built, and we should be funding it with those speeders.
Yeah, why not? I'm all in. I'm all in. It's because I've been spending a little bit more time on track lately. It's just disappointing when I get back on, the 401 or 407, and I just cannot believe how people are driving. And I'm sure some of these people are the same people who are, advocating for higher speed limits and against speed enforcement cameras.
It's funny when like they said 75% of people were against cameras. They
Mhm.
pulled a very interesting group. Probably 75 to 100 of their friends were in that group because the CAA did a poll
Yes.
and 75% of their respondents said that they were in favor of the cameras as opposed to scrapping them. So I don't understand where Vaughan residents, actually anyway. Interesting things you can do with statistics, like get them wrong.
I was just about to say that.
For anyone who wants to join the show on camera, in person, and actually talk to us, I'm monitoring. I've not seen an email, so be a brave soul. Come join us. Share your thoughts on the air with the world. My buddy Waddell Engineering, who is a drone guy, engineering guy, and he likes stuff and things. But he says that he uses adaptive cruise control and Waze for speed camera reminders, and he doesn't speed, is what I'm getting out of what he says. But what is it? We got someone who asked about, do cops give cops tickets in Ontario? Cops give. Well, I know of a police car that was impounded for stunt driving. A police car, an actual on-duty police car that was impounded. That was a mess. It may have
Yeah.
been a ranking officer who was driving, maybe.
It's on that subject. I happened to see 3 police cars, full throttle with lights and sirens and the whole bit. But the full throttle part was scary, given the context of the location and the visibility and the amount of traffic around. And it's disturbing because I know they don't have the same level of training that I do, and they deserve more.
But with all the
There's
training they have, whatever training they have, you cannot account for
Yeah.
everything, and that's why we focus on guaranteed arrival, no matter what's going on. I know
Mhm.
when I used to really go fast, it was because it was a kid involved or a cop involved,
Right.
and it's life and
Right.
death. And sometimes the logic that controls our speedometer doesn't work because we're in that same mode. The truth
Sure.
is, when you're doing things out of an emergency, you're not using the whole brain. You're in a level of, no matter who
Yeah.
you are, cop or not, you're using less judgment, and that's not a good place to be
Mm.
in a panic.
Well, well, in a panic, and that's the thing. I mean, um, there's probably nothing more panicky than being in a race car, and I'm fortunate enough to have lots of experience behind the wheel of a race car, and I really kind of don't get flustered. But that's, I'm at the extreme end of things, but I'm also an advocate of more driver training because I understand what it's like to be at that end of the spectrum of proficiency, because I don't get bothered by things. It's not an emotional thing to drive quickly.
I'm going with,
And
the people who go quickly and have no good reason, or the people who are late for work and don't want to look bad to their boss, but at the same time should have
Yes.
left a half an hour early. So they're not people I care about.
Oh, yeah.
But then there's the people who are, their kid's sick and they think they're going to, God forbid, something terrible is going to be the outcome. Or in a police situation, a kid is dying. Those are the
Right.
those are the things where, like, if I don't get there, something bad's going to happen. It's more than it's a different. I think it's a different kind of panic than winning the race. But I appreciate that
Mm.
you do things that other people and police officers are not trained to do, which is go really, really fast in a controlled environment.
Well, and I think that the my perspective is that the more time you spend in those situations, the less that the less affected you are by emotion.
I don't disagree.
Because
I just remember, when I think about this, I remember a call where the call said a kid was hit and it was bad. I got there and the kid was a passenger in a car that got hit and it was not bad. And I risked everything to get there, and it was not wise. So I slowed down a lot after that and made sure I made much better decisions. But yeah, every situation is different. But that's when I think about those things. I think about my own personal experiences. I'm like, I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't, but I could have gone slower and still gotten there, and nothing was going to change what I got there. Just a reminder to anybody
Right.
watching, we can have you join the show. There's a space in between us where we can put your picture and you can ask questions, be part of the conversation. You email askatrafficcop@gmail.com for an invite to join the screen. I will send you a link for Zoom. Now, we got a question of why is there no police presence on the 400 series highways between 5 and 6 a.m. and also 5 and 6 p.m.? That's an interesting question.
I don't drive that early in the morning usually, unless I'm going to the racetrack. But certainly in the afternoons and evenings, I have to say I haven't seen I've seen more City of Toronto police in the City of Toronto highways, but I haven't seen an OPP vehicle in a long time.
I have recently, in my regular trips to Barrie, have been seeing a tremendous number, and I say tremendous, three, four, like set up, like boom, boom, boom. You pass the first one, you think, oh, you're good. And the next person is speeding by and they get nailed. I love it because for a long time, I was chastising the OPP for not putting enough coppers on the road. Now, it might happen to be that we recently had a bunch of people graduate from the Ontario Police College and they might be getting their training and being, being put in situations where they can get some experience, and that might stop again. I don't know, but I'm very happy to see an enhanced presence. Now, I can't speak to 5 and 6 in the morning because since I left the police, I don't get up that early anymore. I used to be on my way to work at 5 in the morning every day, and I'm happy to say I sleep in till 6:30, which is a heck of a sleep in compared to the 4 o'clock I was used to. Just saying. Let's see here. Kyle wants us to leave the PAL owners alone.
I just happen to find the questions on YouTube.
Okay.
Oh,
I've got
lost
some
you there for a second.
You lost me? I'm still here. Oh, you've slowed down. Yes, there is some lag. But I can certainly.
It's
we are at the hands of the internet gods. You are back. You are back and at speed.
Okay. Yes, excellent. I was I just happened to find the questions and comments on YouTube, which we can certainly address.
Well, you can also see them on. I don't know if I can give you access to put it on screen, but when we co-host properly, I should give you the appropriate login. Are we talking about Steve's questions?
And Davina's as well. So there's a lot of them there.
Okay, we can put just an order of operation. You can put Steve's in first. Interesting about cameras here in the 5 boroughs of New York City, we just pay them. Out in the suburbs of Long Island, there are very few. The reason being the voters threaten the local politicians. Is that the one you were looking at?
That was one of them. Yes, I like that. And that's one of the things you don't understand about driving culture in New York City. I don't know if I've ever driven in New York City at all.
I've done a little bit of driving there, a little bit. I have actually had the unique pleasure of being aboard an NYPD school bus. That was because of the September 11th memorial, for which I frequented as part of the Canadian contingent to represent the Toronto Police for that event. My heart is always going to be in New York. My home away from home. Love the people. Shout out to the NYPD and to the guy riding standing shotgun in the footwell or the doorwell of the bus, yelling, get out the way, police coming through, like screaming on the PA system, because you can't, sirens or not, you don't go anywhere in New York because they could care less.
No.
So, but it was quite an experience to go lights and sirens through the city for a really good reason, because we had to get to the hotel. Davina says, I suspect powerful, wealthy, and influential people have that power to affect the implementation of traffic cameras. It's a pay to play. If you're really that wealthy, just pay the ticket and move on.
Yeah, I don't think people really care.
Well, it's funny. I had a moment of insanity, and that was after seeing being so incredibly unimpressed by the politicians. I said to someone, maybe I should run, because I would guarantee more cameras, not less. And they said, unless you're willing to be on the take, you don't want to get into politics. And I'm like, that's quite a bold statement that I would never have thought would be the case. But this is what that person who's close to politics said. And I'm like, guess I'm not running for politics because I'm way too straight and narrow.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not interested either. But yeah, I mean, like a lot of traffic laws, the speed camera thing is, in all the research I was doing leading up to this conversation, there's people coming at it from so many different vectors. It is wild. And
Tell
it's
me.
and the if you stay, what did Mark Twain say? If you follow the news, you're or if you don't follow the news, you're uninformed, and if you follow the news, you're misinformed.
Oh, I
And
like that. It's so true.
yeah, yeah. So if you read the headlines of our major publications, it's this surface level um, conversation about the cameras themselves. But then when I look at it from my perspective and having to try to defend a ticket and not having the opportunity to do so through the process that the city of Toronto created, that's a little fishy to me. But then there are
We're losing you. You're getting a little choppy. I don't know why. But in the meantime, while we sort that out, I just want to say that Louis
yeah.
says wants to know if speed cameras can give you tickets for 1 kilometer over. They could, but I've never heard of a speed camera giving a 1 kilometer and over a 1K over ticket. Someone called in today, said his daughter got a ticket for 1 over and said it was $75, which also doesn't jive because it's $5 per kilometer over the limit. So it doesn't make any sense. I've not heard of it. Brian, have you heard of anyone getting a ticket for 1 kilometer over?
No, I think my 7 or 8 kilometer an hour over the speed limit ticket was kind of the lowest I've seen or heard of.
Yeah, I think it's a percentage over the posted limit. So if it's a 30, maybe 7 or 8. If it's a 40, maybe 10 or 12. It depends on where you are. A lot of people think that there should be a buffer, and I agree. For a couple kilometers over, I wouldn't ding you as a cop, and I don't think you should get dung by a camera. But you know what? More than that, and I have no sympathy. Let's see here. X wants to know what the law is on giving the finger to a cop when he profiles a person. That's kind of a loaded question. It's a finger load. There's no law about giving someone the finger. You can do what you want. I mean, you might find yourself being investigated because they can do what they want too. But it's not against the law. It's just you're a little suspicious when you're telling a copper to bugger off. But you're also assuming he profiled someone for an inappropriate reason. Maybe that person was doing something illegal. Just saying.
I don't have the ability to pull over any vehicle, but I profile anyone driving a vehicle
Yes.
with darkly tinted windows. You are up to no good. If you do not want to be recognized by anyone, you're up to no good.
I was just assuming they're knuckle deep in their nose digging for gold.
Could be.
Let's see here. We talked about that. My phone was dying and I was at a stop sign. I plugged it in. The cop pulled me over in ticket time. You're not allowed to touch your phone. The law has said, even if your phone is dead, if you are holding your dead phone because it's your security phone and it makes your soul feel happy, that's against the law and you can be ticketed. It's irrelevant whether it had power or why you were plugging it in. These are things you do when you're legally parked and not whilst driving or even at a red light.
There's got to be some case law about an emotional support phone.
You could make some now, but even if you have it on your lap, because it's overheating because it's an older Apple and it warms your lap, and you find a difficult time staying warm in your car that has heating issues. I mean, no, good luck to you. That's what I gotta say. What do we got here? Elam, who sent a whole bunch of gifts. Thank you very much. He says here, this is why you should get your windows tinted. He says, plus windshield cops. What is this? Windshield cops can't give you ticket for phone, only 110. What? This is why you should get your windows tinted. Plus windshield cops can't give you a ticket for phone, only 110. I don't understand that statement.
Well, I think one of the, if we want to unpack all of that, I think there's a bunch of things going on. One of the things he is saying is with darkly tinted windows, police can't see whether you're holding your phone or not, which is absolutely true.
So you take the $110 ticket instead of the $615 ticket. And he says there's no points for the ticket for 10. except if you have tinted windshield. And if your tint is so dark that I can't see inside it, that's actually not just a $110 ticket. That is a lose your plates, get it towed because your vehicle's unsafe ticket.
Yep.
Just saying. But he sent a whole bunch of gifts, so I should tell him that he's wonderful and thank you. And I appreciate that the money goes to better traffic safety and education, a not-for-profit I started when I left the Toronto Police Service. And I do get help from Diamond and Diamond Lawyers. They're a magical group of people who happen to help fund the show and the organization because we want to make roads safer for everybody. It's not just about chatting online. It's about actually making a difference, and they help me do that, so I appreciate them. If you want to support, you can go to askatrafficup.ca. You can support us by PayPal directly. You can go and buy us a coffee through Buy Us a Coffee at Voice Over Cop. It doesn't go to me. We're an officially registered Canadian not-for-profit organization. Let's see here. We've got, if a new driver immigrant with a G1 is cutting driving, what is cut driving? Is cut driving with no insurance, what can you do? This is user 1 million. If you're driving with a G1, caught driving with no, oh my God. So we got a language barrier here. If you're caught driving with no insurance, you're screwed, dude, because that's a $5,000 to $25,000 fine if you're convicted, and up to 6 months in jail if they so choose to go that way for sentencing. And I got to tell you, things are changing in the courts, and I think it's actually good. I was a little pissed about it originally because a friend of mine got a ticket. Careless driving caused bodily harm. So there's new charges available. They got a ticket that would normally have been just a ticket. $400, $500, see you later, have a good day. They wanted $3,000 and a 15-month driving prohibition for making a left turn and hitting a pedestrian. Now, I am not saying it's okay to do that, but historically, that was a $500 ticket. Yeah, your insurance goes up, but now they are coming hard for people who are breaking the law. And it's not like he went out to hurt somebody. The sun was in his eyes. He made a turn. It wasn't careless driving, in my opinion. I would not have laid that charge because I don't think it was careless. But this copper laid the charge, and they got a conviction. They did negotiate down a bit, but they were serious, man. And the person who appeared in court right after them, same thing. They're coming hard for drivers who are making roads dangerous.
Interesting. Well, I hope to see more of that because I've see so much bad driving, Sean.
So much.
It's so, and I try to remember to put my dash cam in the car, and then like this week, tomorrow's Wednesday, and I still haven't put it in the car that I'm driving. So here we are.
Star Lord says, "Who is Brian?" I'm just giving him a voice, but he also wants to boycott EVs. But I think he thinks we're chill guys. But I appreciate that. I just thought it was funny. So Brian, who are you? Reintroduce yourself to the room.
I have a YouTube channel about new cars. I've got the big check mark on my racing career, and a lot of my trophies are in the background, and I've forgotten how many races that I've won in my racing career. Taught performance driving, race driving for a really, really long time, and I've written for most of the big car magazines around the world as well. So I kind of know cars and racing.
You know some stuff and things.
Stuff and things about cars and make them go fast.
I like it. Nish, we got Will from Nish Security wrote in and says, "I'm watching," and he had some comments, but I don't know if he wants to join. Want to join? I'm responding. I'm leaving a link just in case he wants to join because he's the first and only person who paste. There we go. We can talk about that, but he says, "I'm currently watching your live on TikTok on the company account. I want to mention the lack of OPP on the 115 from 401 to Peterborough. It is the boundary of 3 or 4 detachments, but yet almost never see a police officer on the 115. I would reach out to them and say, I'm a concerned person working in this area, and I never see anybody. What's going on? It's, there's things that are not doing the right thing. JSB says, it's quite annoying when I see a police officer driving down the highway with a cell phone in their hand. I don't disagree with you. It would be annoying for someone who may not realize that they are perfectly legal to do that because police, fire, ambulance, people operating those vehicles are exempt from utilizing or being restricted from utilizing their handheld communication device, their computer in the car, their two-way radio, all those things. So it looks terrible. However, it's legal. And oddly enough, police officers have access to additional tools, and some police issue phones. They actually have access to run license plates. I hope he isn't ordering pizza. That would be gross. Not because the pizza would be gross. It's gross because it's a misuse of their permitted things, and I don't know what I was going to say. They're allowed to do it, but if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, not for work, I wouldn't condone it. That's what I'm saying. Safety first. By the way, creator Steve, what's up? He came in to say hey. MC Pro Canadian something says, how often are vehicles pulled over for expired registrations? I know it was a lot easier with the stickers. Oh God, yeah, I miss stickers. So when coppers were driving around, the one charge that was an easy grab was the expired license plate sticker. Well, now we don't have new stickers, so they actually that's one of the reasons they went to the automated license plate reader, because the ALPR just picks it up. They can pick up 4 lanes wide at 100 kilometers an hour type thing, not just 100 kilometers, 100 kilometers speed differential. So they're cutting 100 kilometers.
Wow.
At the it's amazing. It's truly amazing. But how are they pulled over? I don't know what the stats are on that, but I would imagine it's happening a lot less than it used to. And I would pull over cars all the time for expired. People don't even realize they're expired. Here's a hint or a tip. Go check to see if your license is expired or not. They mail stuff, but not everybody looks at mail. So you never know.
That's right. I'm still seeing some of that. You remember those a couple of years with those plates that would peel?
Oh gosh, yeah. They're still around. They're completely bare plates.
I've seen a couple in the last week.
Yeah. A lot of them are free to replace still, because the B series are totally acknowledged as being crap. But it's interesting. If you got a peeling plate, it's a $110 ticket option for the officer to lay. But there you go. Joe D says, huge cash grab. I can only imagine that Joe is referring to cameras, but maybe they're talking about something else. As I scroll through the TikTok, yeah, a lot of people don't like getting tickets. Why is it a cash grab? What makes punishing someone for breaking the law a cash grab? That's my question. If you're talking about traffic safety, you're supposed to follow the law. If you break the law, aren't you kind of just asking for it? And Will says he's not coming to join the stream because he's in his pajamas.
Well, I am too. No, just kidding.
Yeah. You're always in flannels. Yeah. You live in flannels.
That's right. Again, the issue of these speed cameras, it becomes a thing for some people when you look at the numbers, and the numbers say that the city of Toronto, and which is where I live, is generating a tremendous amount of revenue through these things. So of course, when some people look at it that way, it's like, okay, now I see what the city's doing, because they can't balance a budget, so they've got to raise some revenue somewhere, so why not take it out on motorists? And as my wife will attest, I have been saying for a really, really long time, Toronto hates cars.
So I gotta say that a lot of what's going on in Toronto, it is I don't want to go to Toronto anymore. And now that I retired from policing, I don't have to, but it's infuriating to sit in traffic. Mind you, I drove to Hamilton last night, and it took me over 2 hours to get there, and I left at 3 p.m. Driving anywhere is infuriating. I want a helicopter license so I can fly places, because this driving stuff is for the birds. It's terrible. When you got to leave at 5 a.m. so you can go over the speed limit, like they were saying.
I try to pick and choose the times when I have to drive in the city, and none of it's good. Now that the east end of the 407 is free, there's traffic jams on that stretch of the 407.
There's nothing good happening right now, and I don't know what the right answer is, because it's one. I don't want to take a bus, because between bed bugs and people who want to hurt other people, it's and smelly people, I just don't want to be on a bus. So I also appreciate that it's probably the right way to get around nowadays. But only if there's those express lanes that also screw with traffic. There's just nothing good going on the roads right now.
No, and I've had the good fortune of driving a lot of cool places, and taken trains and taken subways in cities where it actually works.
Wow, a huge difference.
Yes, and in several places in Europe and in Asia, they've got a train system that is brilliant, and it works. And
but it's not one lane.
Why? No, yeah, exactly. Uh, and why I had to take an Uber to Scarborough this morning when there's no good reason for a city this big to have a subway or a train system where I could have taken that train with one stop and gotten somewhere close to my destination. There's no reason for that. And I had really, if I wanted to take the TTC, it would have taken me 4 hours.
It's unacceptable. I'm finally in a position that I can totally understand where working from home and being remote, I do meetings, they look like this. It's fantastic. And I actually want to support the folks who don't want to leave their house anymore because I'm one of them. We got somebody who doesn't like cops. We won't acknowledge them. Tamim
Nah.
says 40K is ridiculously slow, 50K is decent. You know what? It's funny. I thought 30K I thought was slow until I started driving in areas that were 30. I'm like, it's not that bad. Is it as fast as 40? No, it's obviously a 10-kilometer difference. But my neighborhood's 50 on the mains and 40s on the sides, and I'm cool with it. It doesn't bother me none. But I'm also not trying to I'm never going that fast on a 60 zone in traffic.
No, in the city, it's kind of impossible. Where I grew up, the roads were rated at 80 kilometers an hour. Now they are somewhat less and significantly less, which provides the foundation for my argument that we do have juvenile speed limits. And I'm not suggesting that the 30s and 40s in the city are inappropriate, because for the most part they're not, and you can't go that fast anyways. And if you wanted to go faster, it's the dumbest idea ever. But on a country road that used to be 80 kilometers an hour with great sight lines and lots of width and shoulder and everything else, there's no reason for that to be 50, and yet they are.
I almost got into a shock situation when I was driving yesterday in Hamilton, and I'm in a rural area road, and it's 80, and it's one lane with a ditch on each side. I'm like, people must, if this was Toronto drivers, they wouldn't get 10 feet before they were in the ditch. That's I was scared for people, but they were all people who grew up there and were used to it. But you
Right.
transplant the driver into that environment, I'd be scared. Mr. Classic said he got pulled over by a cop and legitimately could not understand a word he said. Who are we hiring? Listen, there was a guy in my class that I couldn't understand him for the entire time that we were in class together, and he ended up not continuing as a police officer because he was ESL, wonderful guy, not easy to understand. So it is a thing. We hire people because they have skills and abilities, and we hope that they can get up to speed. But then we look at my buddy who is from Brazil. Obviously, he's a Portuguese speaker. He is a guy who was skilled laborer. He was a cabinet maker. He wanted to become a cop. They wanted to hire him. He became an auxiliary officer. He wanted to be a PC. Toronto said no. Peel said yes, but you got to take courses to improve your English. He did. He's now a police officer. Some people can pull their weight and get up to it. Other people have difficulty, but it is what it is. I don't know. I don't know any other way to say it. Language shouldn't be the barrier, because obviously in their native language they might be phenomenal, and it's just the English they got a problem with. So it's
that's exactly it. But I mean, I think we're just a few months away from ubiquitous live translation from one language to any other language.
AirPods 3.
Yeah.
And now the new Ray-Ban glasses with the little projector inside, $800
Mhm.
US. That's a steal. I want them. But I am a Duolingo guy now. I'm working on my Spanish and my Russian and just trying to learn as much as I can in my downtime. I'm flipping eggs in my kitchen, and I'm reciting lessons and doing stuff with my kids. I want to learn more languages. I want to be multilingual. William says if I go through Toronto, I leave at 2 a.m. just so I don't have to deal with Toronto. Well, I've always said that Toronto is an hour away from Toronto.
Yeah.
Eric wants to know why it's what's the mentality about following the laws? Why is it so hard for people to understand? I don't know.
That's a wonderful question.
Yeah. It's I don't know what the knee-jerk reaction is. Listen, for the longest time, impaired operation charges, judges threw them out. They didn't convict people because they were doing the same thing. They had a couple of pints and then drove home. So it was very
Right.
acceptable. Well, we've developed,
Yeah.
especially since COVID, a real soft spot for speeders. I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. And of course, the people who are the loudest complainers about the speeding are the people who speed, right? Like they're
Mhm.
And actually, I remember a story where a woman, it was a big advocate for adding speed cameras in her neighborhood because people were going too fast, and she was one of the first people to get a ticket. True
Yeah, of course.
story.
Of course.
Let's see here. Oh, Jordan, Jordan Ingman says, make it 40K during school, but not all the time. So and he wants the QEW to be 130, and the 400, and the 400 and the 401. He wants everything to be faster.
So here we are back to my point about the road surface, vehicle safety, and driver skill. And those three of those things don't add up to higher speed limits, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't, the truth is, more often than not, we don't need to go faster because even if you're great, because, Brian, you're great, you're a great driver, but everybody else
I'm
sucks.
okay. I got some trophies back there.
But if everybody else, if you start putting faster people amongst the people who can't drive, you're just making a colossal boo-boo.
It is, and there's such a disparity in skill sets, and even on the racetrack, you know, I'm out there on a track day with highly experienced drivers, but because I'm at the complete other end of the spectrum where I've gone wheel to wheel with cars and crash and all that stuff, but I'm pretty proficient at wheeling a car. The differential between me in a slow car and someone else in a fast car causes all kinds of confusion to the driver in the fast car who's actually driving slower around the racetrack. And it's worse on public roads when you've got a 30, 40, 50 kilometer an hour delta. None of that's good. And for the most part, people are not expecting cars to be passing them with that kind of speed differential.
And speed differential is really where problems show up and scream. Before we get into the next thing, I want to just mention that if you wanted to join the show, you could have today. We actually had it set up. Zoom would allow you to be on screen chatting with us, just like we're chatting, and we'd love to have you as part of it. Although we are going to wrap up soon, so I think you've missed the boat if you want to do it next time. But because there's no doubt this is the way we're going to go forward. It looks so much better and cleaner than the other way. We have a question. What was the question? The question is, Anthony Souza says, can I ask a question? That was a question. You've used up your allotted avail. You could, of course, ask a question. Then we've got Erica responding to Jordan, who says, so people can drive 150. This is a lot of, listen, fast. You want to go to the Autobahn, they allow fast, but they also enforce all the other little rules so strictly. They have such conditioned drivers.
This is the thing. When they have speed limits in Germany, they are the limit. There's no latitude there. It's incredible.
And even pulling like lane, what's the word I'm looking for? Lane etiquette. You only get into the left lane to pass. You go right back to the right lane. It's none of this left lane camping, but you're also, in environments where the speed limit is 80 to 130, it's 80 to 130. You don't go faster. You don't speed.
No,
they're on you. Photo radar as well as police enforcement. Charles wants to know, how long after you do your panel interview do you usually find out you got the job? No news is good news. They might be trying to fill classes. If they haven't said no, they're just waiting to say yes or no. You never know until you know. But no news is good news. So just chill. Don't call. Don't bug your recruiter. That's a bad go. Prob Guru wants to know, how much do you make? I don't know what you're talking about. Do you mean my salary right now? Do you mean when I was a police officer? Do you mean like when? And Stone Abba says, took 1 kilometer at 50 kilometers an hour. What is this? To travel 1 kilometer at 50 kilometers an hour is only 11 seconds slower than at 60 kilometers an hour. The whole concept saying that speeding doesn't get you there any faster. And I will tell you that the people and bozos, because the people I want to talk about this morning are bozos. I had a guy who sped past me at light speed only to pass me, turn into the store to go buy bread at 6:30 in the morning, limping out of his car because he has a bad back. I was right behind him. I didn't break the law. He was driving like a jackass, and we got there the same place, same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
let's see here. Oh, this is interesting conversation. Jordan, who wants the speed limits to go to 120 or 130 because everyone's doing 120 to 130 anyway. And Ice Panda Cuddles says, great username, people can't do 100 now. Let's start there first.
That's great. It's true.
It is
It's
true.
true. Yeah, I was on 401 earlier today, and just happened to be just doing my thing and not on cruise control, and I passed a Toronto police vehicle going way under the speed limit because it was in traffic in the far right lane. I was in the passing lane, and might have been doing 100 at best. And you just can't drive fast on the 401. It's impossible.
It is no bueno. In 1 minute and 55 seconds, it's going to reset. Let's take the opportunity to reset it one last time, and we'll start wrapping things up. I'm going to end that, bring you off the screen, and we'll send you an invite and the meeting for all. And then we're going to bring Brian back. I'm going to buy the freaking subscription, but this is our first time testing it. I needed to test it. I needed to know this worked, and it works beautifully. It's a different way of connecting. Usually I bring him in through the magic of another app, but I didn't like the way it looked. This looks so much better. So as soon as he's back in the go, we'll bring him back on screen. And let's see here. Let's see here. Charles says, thanks. You're welcome. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about Brian's question to Brian. Oh no, he's asking me, but his name is Brian. You guys assume that it's Brian asking Brian. What are your thoughts on people that hit the brake randomly on the highway? I think they're not very good drivers. Why are they hitting the brakes? This sounds odd. Yeah, I don't know. If it's doing it intentionally, that's a whole different situation. There we go. You're back.
I'm back.
It's good to have you. It's always fun when you join the show. It's not like we don't talk enough, but it's always good to do it like this.
This is true. I had to get some water.
I have a case of water next to the table. I should just bring a straw and one of those giant buckets, because when I'm down in the basement, I drink a lot of water.
Yeah, that's the thing. I had a 5-gallon jug left over from Cottage Adventure that I just kept in the office for a little while, and now it's empty.
If you go to my Instagram at VoiceOverCop, you will see my Manly, which sounds wrong, but I bought a Stanley, 64-ounce Stanley. It's almost 2 liters. My kids have the Stanleys, and they're into the Stanleys, and I don't like the Stanley that looks like a weird mug, but this thing, 64 or 63, whatever it is, ounces. That's a legit
that's
drinking utensil.
What do you do with that?
I empty it by way of drinking it. So I posted on my Facebook, and I said I bought
2 liters.
It's awesome. It truly is awesome, and you work out with it until it's doing reps. So I posted a picture of it, and one of my friends said, "That's a lot of pee," and I said, "I put water in it. I don't put pee in it. That's gross." It's a dad joke, and only the dad's got it. Yeah. So Erica says that. Okay. So what does Brian say? Brian says, "Oh, first of all, Jordan says he's never been pulled over at 120. I can tell you that people get pulled over for 120 now and again, and I actually encourage cops to pull people over for 120 and charge them, because that's how you get people to do 100. If you only wait until someone does 130 or 140 or 150 to stop them, you're telling everybody else that it's okay to speed up until that threshold. That's the whole reason we don't publish what the cameras are set to, because if you know, then that's what you'll go. Funny how that works. Brian wanted to know, this is not Brian, but Max,
not
but
me.
Brian, somebody else. What are your thoughts on people who tap the brakes all the time while they're driving? Sorry, brake randomly on the highway.
They need help.
What is it? Is it a brake check, which is stunt driving?
Well,
or is it just?
I don't think that's what he's talking about. I mean, I drive so much, I see kind of everything, and I think what he's referring to is when people are driving alone, not in traffic, and they actually brake, and there's no noticeable difference in speed from no brake to brake, and as a professional, to say some people have developed bad habits by simply the absence of never establishing good habits.
Good habits. What? What's that? You see a lot of bad habits.
You mean like things like looking as far down the road as possible, training your eyes on the
Horizon.
horizon? Yeah.
People
Who
don't
knew?
know about that. That's new.
No.
Driver training. A lot of comments talked about driver training. It wasn't really questions, so I didn't jump into them. But driver training should be mandatory, not optional.
Yeah.
We got
it's mandatory in Germany.
As it should be for everyone everywhere. Why are you allowed to get behind a vehicle just because you guessed 20 questions and had someone show you their bad habits? That is not acceptable for driving. That is not the test. And people learn just enough to get past. They don't learn like it's a profession. If you could you imagine if doctors just learned enough to get through the test? Some argue that that's what we got. But anyway,
I like my doctor. He's great.
If you're lucky enough to have a doctor in Canada,
That's another story.
I like my doctor too. Juan says or asks, are we allowed to carry a secured mattress on top of the car in Toronto? Secured is the key word there.
Yeah.
Transporting.
What does the law say?
Well, it has to be secured, truly secured. But how does one secure something? People use twine. Is that secured? Not a rated strap, so it's not secured. If I've seen levitation, it looks like a sail where the strings are loose and but I've also seen people holding the mattress with their hands out the window.
Yes.
The green screen, I'm disappearing.
Can I tell you? I have to interrupt. Can I tell you how I transported a mattress in the last week?
Please do.
I put it inside. Yes, put it inside the vehicle.
Say it ain't so.
It's true. It's possible.
Using the right tool. Like I'm sure the person who holds the mattress with their hands and themselves and their three friends also uses a butter knife to turn screws. Like use the proper tool.
No doubt about that. Yes.
Oh, who says this? Jordan says to serve and collect. Well,
I've heard that. I've been reading that since the 70s.
We got here. Would love to hear your views on the current U.S. politics. Hell no, I'm not going there. I don't want to get canceled. Yeah, anyway, no matter what you say, you're going to get canceled by somebody. Politics is not what I talk about. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, and car stuff, and tech stuff, and all sorts of stuff. Somebody asked me what my favorite donut was way back when. I meant to answer it, and I didn't.
That's a great question.
What is your favorite donut?
It's got to involve chocolate.
You're a chocolate guy.
Yeah, chocolate all day long.
I'm not a really sweet person, but I'm a sweet person, but I don't eat a lot of sweets. I like raspberry filled Krispy Kremes. If I had to pick one donut to be my last donut, that would be the donut I'd want. I was at a watch event. I was at the marathon after party after the Toronto timepiece show, which was a phenomenal event for anyone who likes watches, timepieces in Toronto. And Brian, I apologize. I meant to call you afterwards and tell you all about it, but it was a great event. And I got to see a lot of my friends in the watch industry, Watch DNA, for which I'm working on contributing a bunch of stuff. They were there, of course. And shout out to the folks at Breitling and Marathon and a number of amazing micro brands that I really enjoyed, and cool ones that were Toronto centric. Like cool. The name escapes me, but I'll go back when I do my video. I shot a bunch of video. I'm putting up some content. It was just a good time, and the folks at Marathon are awesome. So shout out to them. And not talking about politics. Look at that. There was a question about windshield tint. What is windshield tint legal? No. It's actually not allowed at all. Like it used to be a 3-inch strip, 73 millimeters or something across the top was legal. Not after 2017. Anything 2017 or newer cannot be, can have any for certification. Sensors and stuff and things. So
yeah, there's so much stuff in the glass now with new cars.
Mopar says 2-foot drivers always riding the brake so light is on. How does anyone drive with 2 feet that isn't driving a race car or a standard vehicle?
Well, this is the thing, right? So in modern race cars, they're 2-pedal cars. You drive them, you have 1 foot on the gas, 1 on the brake. But you can't do that in a road car proficiently because you're not supported the same way in a road car. In a race car, you're in a deep bucket seat and you're strapped to it and you don't move. So you don't need your left leg for support as you would in a road car. And anyone driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake in a road car is doing something really stupid. And I'm sure I'll hear all about it, but they're not going to follow the logic of that. In a race car, it works because you're strapped in. In a road car, it doesn't work because you need your left leg for support.
It's a totally different game. It's just a totally different game. I still want to try a race car out. I've yet to find a race car I fit into.
You don't fit into ours, that's for sure.
I got claustrophobic looking at it. Never mind getting into it. It was just like Brian says, "Hop in." I'm like, "Hell no!" Like,
no, you'll never get out.
Well,
and the escape hatch in the roof is even too small for you to climb through.
Well, I am smaller than I once was, so maybe I don't know.
True.
I've shrunk since last time I looked at your race car. By the way, shout out to your team. If you're interested in knowing about IMSA stuff and things, Ryan's involved with a race team.
Yeah, we got some Mercedes AMG race cars that we race in IMSA. It's today's competition. THAZE COMP. Yeah. And there's we haven't told the story publicly about what where the name comes from, but it's a cool story that'll be part of history.
Yes, indeed. Here's Albion Ram says, "You guys look like twins." And then
except if someone sees us standing
next to one another. Well, it really is like twins, but it's the
Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The Arnold Schwarzenegger version. And then Nicholas Rizzi says, if you two don't dress up as Santa Claus for December After Dark live chat, I'll be highly disappointed in both of you. Maybe we should do that. Let's see here. Liz says, while I just tuned in, I'll assume the Ford stance on speed cameras were discussed. The cameras help me. They help you which state? Like, this is always the question. If you knew, if it was a guarantee that if you went a kilometer over the speed limit and not a ticket would come out, but like lasers from the sky, no one would freaking speed. Yes. It would just be a moot point. You would not do it because fear of lasers from heaven that would, end your car's driving driver. Why is it that extreme measures work, but people don't like them? Anyone who's like defending the use of or against cameras is defending lawless behavior and unsafe driving. And at least that's how I see it. But I'm really black and white on this.
You are, except we know politicians aren't, except when it comes to one thing, and that is the polls. And I am certain that the provincial pollster for the Conservatives has suggested that polling is very much against these automated speed enforcement.
Jordan says it's not lawless behavior, it's government overreach. So the argument is the law is not acceptable. The speed limits are too low. Thus, I shouldn't have to break the law. So my response is, if you don't like the speeds, if you don't like the laws, lobby to change them. Get into politics, speak to your politicians, get representation, make a change. But the science supports the speed, not the government overreach. It might be a nanny state, but it's still a nanny state supported by laws, by research that says slower is better for pedestrians. And we're talking about pedestrian safety here. We're not talking about two cars mangling metal. We're talking about kids and granny and everybody you care about going to school or going to the park or going to the retirement home or going to the hospital or just being in an area that happens to have a high collision rate. We don't want people to get hurt. So we have to slow people down because oddly enough, the cars are the ones killing people, not the pedestrians. It's not the other way around. And I very rarely come out strongly against cars. So this is a really unique position for me to take so loudly because I'm all about driving. I drive everywhere. I'm not really riding anymore. I have a bicycle that I rarely use. I'm the guy who's trying to get somewhere, and pedestrians can piss me off too when they don't give courtesy to drivers and they just occupy every space. But what I'm talking about, when bad stuff happens, the pedestrian's not going to make it, and I want to protect them. Davina Duckworth, coming through your website or your YouTube channel, says, was there a specific campaign to pull over modified cars? Depends.
I think I don't know, but I mean, I've never egregiously modified a car where it would have attracted attention. Mostly because I know the depths at which the dynamics engineers have worked to develop the car in order for it to work properly on the road. So I don't like second guessing professionals.
When they spend millions of dollars of research and then they build a car that's made to do what it does, and then people hack it up with Amazon upgrades, that's it's different. I'm sure that's not the kind of car you're talking about, but I'm used to seeing the stuff, the peel and stick hood scoops.
No, yeah, but this is what we're talking about. Anytime you mess with the dynamics, you start messing with the suspension, or you change a wheel, or you change a tire, you're automatically second guessing a whole group of engineers who have spent, it's literally millions of dollars to engineer all of that stuff. It's millions of dollars to engineer ABS. It's millions of dollars to engineer stability control and traction control, and let alone the tire and the wheel and the suspension geometry and the all the elastic kinematics that go into the suspension. So to start second guessing them and think your favorite tuner does a better job, forget it. It's not going to work.
Well, I will say that there are rarely modification can mean anything. If you're in British Columbia or Alberta, I should say, anything other than stock is illegal, from my understanding. However, in Ontario, if you were to make your vehicle sound like a bag of crap, you might like it a bag of crap for everybody else who has to hear the pop 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 fart can muffler. That is a modification that is prohibited. It's a modification that doesn't meet the standard, and that vehicle would be subject to tickets. And very often, we will do campaigns to target those drivers because they're breaking the law. It's not to target a modification; it's to target an illegal modification. So it depends on the mod.
Right.
If your vehicle is compliant with law, then you should have no problem. There's issues with too low, too high, too wide. Those things need to be taken care of.
Can we have laws against bad taste? Modifications. I'd like to be the arbiter of that.
That we would be so busy. It's like the discussion about making laws to slap stupid people. Like your hand would be tired. That was a George Carlin bit, right?
Yeah.
So for sure. Did I tell you that Jordan likes Boston cream donuts? That's his choice. He likes Boston cream.
That is my least favorite.
I'm not a
no offense, Jordan.
I don't disagree. I never been a cream filled person. Yeah.
I'm leaving that one.
It's just things you shouldn't say in a live stream. Thoughts on what are my thoughts on people who don't need to wear motorcycle helmets while riding? So the question is about being Sikh and being exempt in the province of Ontario. Not a safety decision. It was an inclusive decision. People who, because of their religious beliefs, couldn't ride motorcycles because of their beliefs, because they were turbans. I understand the reason they did it. It's not a safety thing. So I'm against the concept, other than I don't like the idea of excluding someone because of their faith. And that's what was happening. Although I've been told that there are helmets that can accommodate some turbans. So I don't know enough to really, they chose to do it. It's the law. We got Ishan who says, but do speed cameras really help? Basically, we can speed if we pay the fine. Why not speed bumps? And then someone says, why? What does he say? He said something to the fact of if they're getting multiple tickets, they're not changing their behavior. Thus, it doesn't actually work. I can talk about studies that say 50% of people slow down. 25% of the people who slow down continue to drive slower as they further into the areas. Like they don't go back up to the speed above. It is effective. We know that there are fewer tickets that are issued in those areas, even after the cameras have been in place. They may get tickets in different locations, but in the areas where that person is getting a ticket, they generally slow down. Now, the issue is that it might take them 5-6 weeks to get the first ticket, which means they might have accumulated 4 or 5 tickets before they know that they broke the law anywhere. I know of a story in the podcast that I recorded with the people from the enforcement group. They told me about a guy who did like 4 laps, making a right turn on red without stopping. Thus, he ran 4 red light cameras, got them all at the same time, and he was shocked that he broke the law 4 times and was pissed off. But if you're oblivious behind the wheel, you deserve every one of those tickets, in my opinion. And Jordan says science does not support speed cameras, except they do. because
Yeah, except it does. Yes.
someone said, Earl the Pearl says, funny, he won't touch the helmet question, but I just touched the helmet question. If people keep getting tickets, we talked about that. Why do, what is this? Sandu, they still want your money, so speed up and give them something. Jordan says, over 65, you should start, you should have to start from day one and take the road test again. My dad's, 80. He had to do a test for cognitive ability to basically put the hands of the clock and make a clock. That was a test. Draw a face of a clock. That's it. In a couple of years, he'll have to start doing road tests. And you know what? I'm not against this. I don't think 65 is it. I'm too close to 65 to think that it's an issue.
Well, if we're gonna start making arbitrary laws, then we need higher licensing standards across the board, and you have to be able to pass fundamental
track day.
Not a track day. That's a little too much. But if I'm making the rules, then it's going to be that way. But you have to be comfortable with a full ABS stop. You have to be comfortable with a full ABS stop and turning. And my mother's passed away many years ago. When she got those cars with ABS, I'd remind her to go out in the winter and practice what ABS felt like, because she was totally not used to it.
We have too many bad drivers. We have drivers who should never have been licensed in the first place. We said this earlier. I'm just reiterating it. We should have driver school. And I mean driver school, when you get a ticket of a certain variety, you should be sent to driver school. Have the option of driver school to reduce points. We should be encouraging people to do better. And unfortunately, it means be tougher on them. It's not the hug a bad driver day. It should be take away your license, make you take a course. If you're good, we'll give it back to you. Like this crap that just allows mediocrity to be on our roads. Actually, here's an interesting thing. We talk about traffic and how bad it is. If we made the roads tests harder, we'd have less drivers. We'd have fewer cars on the road. We'd have fewer problems. More people take the bus, less traffic. We're all happy. There was a guy that a long time ago reached out to me on LinkedIn, which was oddly enough is somewhere we simulcast to. And he said that he came from Ontario, moved to Ireland, and he can no longer drive because he was given a certain period of time to, as a certain type of license, to switch over. And if he didn't take his test within a certain amount of time and take the additional training, he couldn't drive, and he chose not to because it was hard. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yep. I'm all about that. I'm happy to make these rules.
Yeah, but I'm also happy to enforce everything strongly. And I don't have sympathy for someone who says, but the law isn't. No, the law is the law until you change it. And until you change it, don't talk to me about you don't think it's fair, because if you're not willing to do the work to make the changes, you're just complaining, and complaining is just squeaking. Kevin wants to know why Canada does not employ an app like they have in South America where you can report drivers. I'm not familiar with an app that does that, but I know we have a website that does it. Like every police service will pretty much take a report, which I've made reports, and I've also investigated those reports I've seen it from both sides. But the problem is, without any kind of actual evidence and identifying the driver, it's just a letter to the registered owner saying you drive like a dork. And Erica, by the way, is a driving instructor. She's in the chat. We're going to get Erica on the show. We went to a roundtable where we have a bunch of people. This could be really cool.
That's a great idea.
I like it. We have William wants to know what Brian's take on. What's Brian's take on deleted diesels?
I don't even know what that means.
I think that's where you take out the emissions control stuff, like you go straight stack. Rolling coal or something like that.
You know what? I don't know enough about it. I don't really understand. I don't understand the considerations around that, to be fair.
I think it's because you're supposed to get better fuel efficiency, maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to know what it's been. It's been so long. I mean, it's been almost 10 years since I had a diesel of my own. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Although, I mean, some diesels are really cool.
I've never owned
But
one.
yeah,
I've never.
oh man, I loved my diesel truck. It was so good.
I've got a
It was
couple of
it
friends who
would
have them. They
I'd
love
get like 12 miles per gallon, whether I was towing the race car trailer or otherwise. Didn't matter.
that. Sounds good. I like the idea of
Yeah,
fuel efficiency. So much
yeah.
so
So
that
I
I
don't
was
my
considering a battery powered toy car for 10
oh
seconds this morning.
yeah. No, I don't know enough about the diesel stuff to understand and what all the considerations are to have an opinion.
We've been talking a lot about, and for anyone who's just tuning in, we've been talking a lot about automated speed enforcement. We've been talking a lot about driving skill and ability. We've been talking about a lot of things. It's been awesome. We're going to start wrapping up. I do want to acknowledge Jordan's statement. He says 2 parents don't have a child because an old woman didn't know how to drive. And he says that the issue is the fraud at Service Canada. I think there's a lot of things. Maybe I'm taking that out of context. I'm reading comments, but there's a lot of issues. There's a lot. There's a lack of enforcement. We don't have enough cops on the road, which is why I like cameras so much. Because if you can't have cops everywhere, at least you can have cameras as a backup, and both is better than getting rid of one because the other is an ideal version. It is ludicrous to me. I'd like speed bumps with cameras. And I'd also like cops at every street. I'd like it to be, a little 1984, but not that much 1984. Did I tell you the story about my buddy, a retired sergeant? He lived in front of a
I don't
school.
know.
He recently
Yeah.
moved in front of a school where they had a camera directly across from his house, speed camera.
Hmm.
They also employed speed bumps.
Hmm.
And do you think that camera got triggered?
Of course it did.
Nonstop. He said they would speed between the speed bumps. So everyone who says speed bumps rock, baloney. They are just another thing to piss me off, and the compliant, law-abiding driver, ruin my suspension. No matter what you're doing, you're unnecessarily wear and tearing your car
Yes.
going over them,
Yes.
and you're reducing response times for emergency vehicles. Can you imagine
Yep.
being in the back of an ambulance as a patient who needs to get to the hospital toot sweet, and you are being rocked and rolled in the back of that ambulance as you go over speed bumps for an entire community? No,
No, thank you.
It's stupid. But hey, Purple GTI says he spun out at 250 kilometers an hour on a highway a couple months ago in his friend's car, and he's bragging about that.
No, I believe that was on Xbox.
Oh, his Xbox. Okay, it makes a lot more
Yeah,
sense then.
yeah.
Because I imagine everyone a spin out of 250 on the highway should have been more. Well,
I don't believe whoever that if that is anywhere near true, they can't articulate what actually happened with the vehicle. So let's just leave it there.
Mayank says, I came to Canada in 2019. Your video gives me so much information about how things are. And he says,
yeah, it's fair.
We try. It's funny.
Mhm.
My dad was selling off some stuff. We've been busy at Marketplace, and he sold off some tires and rims. And I met a young man. I think he recently came from Egypt, and he came to buy some tires for his new Lexus. His new Lexus. And he's like, he says, I'm new to Canada, and things are different here. And I'm like, I gave him a sticker because I have some stickers, and for the show. And he says, "What's this?" I said, "I host a show that teaches people about driving laws." He says, "No way! I need this." I'm like, "This is what we're here for.
Perfect.
For everybody who's on the road, new and old, everyone alike can use some information about stuff and things." Talking about have you seen the speed bumps that pop out of the road if you're speeding but are flat if you are not?
No, I've heard about these things, but that like maybe on social media or something.
I saw them on social media, and someone said,
Mhm.
we need those. And I said, but we have snow here. And he says, well, they have them in Switzerland, so I think we're okay. And I can't argue with that. If they have them
can't argue
there,
with that one.
but they're probably $1 gazillion and need constant repair.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, no, they're probably so well engineered and so expensive that they don't need to be serviced.
Well, there you go. As long as you know what? If they wouldn't have blown all the money in Vaughan, taking years of preparation and work and signing contracts and then bailing because somebody whined and complained about their ticket, maybe they could have afforded some speed bumps that were fancy. It's just dumb. What they did was so dumb. Anyway, and you know what? If they're gonna burn all the money for the tickets, and just set fire to it. They could have left the cameras generating money and paid for speed bumps in addition to but they're just, it's not about safety. This has got to be about votes and other bullshit. But anyway,
Yeah, there's some lack of logic here.
there's something wrong. Joe Quinn says, how bad, I probably didn't pronounce that correctly, but how bad would driving a G1 without a G driver supervising you be? For anyone who doesn't know, to drive with a G1 learner's permit, you must be supervised by a qualified G-class driver in the passenger seat. They have to have 4 years of experience, and that experience would have started when they got their G2. So they have to have a full G and 4 years of experience total, and they have to be in the car sober, supervising. And what happens if you don't? Like aside from the fact that you're not a qualified driver to drive alone, you're not insured, because insurance companies insure qualified licensed drivers. Yeah, it's a good ticket. It's a $110 ticket for drive unaccompanied. It's a 30-day suspension if it's your first time, 90-day suspension if it's your second. If it's your third time, you get kicked out of the driver's program. The person who lent you the car, they get charged. If you own the car, you get charged. I would doubly charge you for letting an unlicensed driver drive your car. I mean, I would find every charge under the sun to charge you with, because I was that traffic cop. I was trying to help you help yourself. And I don't mean,
there's some people who do need some help or a little encouragement.
If you don't give a crap about the rules, I want to make sure that I helped you remember that the rules were there for a reason, because they were all voluntary. You chose to do something really dumb and illegal, and I was going to make sure that you didn't get away with a $110 slap on the wrist. Changing driver behavior takes a lot of work, and in my case, it was a lot of penmanship to help make that happen. And I didn't get a bonus. I didn't get any free trips to the Barbados.
No, that doesn't exist.
No toaster. No toaster. But I really believed in that, because if you were going to be the brand new guy with no license driving, you deserve everything you get. Okay. Let's see. Paul says, I want to see speed cameras used in long-term construction zones. I want to see them used on every road in Canada and the world. Why should you be able to speed? In fact, there's a discussion. There's a discussion about putting speedometers in the car. They want to be able to control the maximum speed for your vehicle based on a geofence. So what's going to happen, and I'm predicting this now, people are going to continuously drive illegally, putting lives at risk. And what's going to happen is the choice that you have, the free will to go fast, is going to be taken away from you. Your vehicle will not go faster than the speed limit allows, because we're teaching people, or people are teaching us, that they can't be trusted with the responsibility of an accelerator.
But can I tell you something?
Please.
There's plenty of cars on the road today that people are buying that have that tech on board, and people don't know it.
Just waiting for the switch to be flipped.
Yep.
That's going to be interesting. Maybe we do a couple of videos on that. We should talk about that more. I've been given some information from a person in the speed business, and he says that's very, very heavily discussed all over the place right now.
Oh yeah, yep.
And at that point, would you still own your own vehicle, or would you do what Elon Musk says and just call his driverless Uber system? Because he's selling a concept that no one should own their own vehicle.
This is true, and things are changing dramatically. We've got this interesting convergence of technology and personal transportation tech that is very interesting. I kind of like driving, but on the other hand, I kind of like being chauffeured too.
I gotta say that if I could do the time cop thing, get in the car and say, take me home, like the 2 hours last night after dinner, I was not a happy camper driving home. I did it, but I would have preferred to have had a nap. And if the technology was safe and reliable, I would do that. Uber Jeff wants to know why the cops aren't pulling over cars with limo tint on the front windows. They have to see it. They have to catch it. They have to recognize it. They have to be looking for it. But I mean, I used to regularly pull that stuff over. Brampton's an interesting place. Did we check out Brampton? We didn't end up doing our thing in Brampton, did we?
No, we got to get that. We got to get on board with that. But I have seen some wild things in Brampton. Not only triple the speed limit, but blowing a red light at the same time, not being pursued by the police, just drivers amusing themselves.
Unacceptable Canada says, "Oh no, going 12 over," and he went, Psh, "Narc." 12 over in a 30 is more than 25% over the limit. That's absolutely unacceptable. You don't like it? Go somewhere else.
Well, John, you've heard all the stories about me crossing my nearest four-way stop intersection, walking my dog. Every week, I'm throwing the ball at a car
Oh yes.
because they're driving at me and the dog.
I almost
Every week.
the number of times I've nearly been hit in an intersection is not people who have watched me on TikTok trying to get back at me. It's just parents who are completely out to lunch, dropping their kids off middle of the sidewalk,
Right.
middle of the intersection, or they've just dropped them off. They don't look and then they hit the gas. And I am so thankful for that. The fact that we have a crossing guard now, because that means
Yes.
I'm not the only one getting hit when we get hit, because it's two people. It's just I don't want to be alone lying on the ground. It'll be the crossing guard will be there with me. It's terrible. Hey Melody, what's going on? Jordan says 1984 TikTok. That's what we are here.
Yeah.
Oh, Melody does not want to be the mechanic that has to fix that speed limiting system. Yeah. And Unacceptable Canada says the Govern Me More podcast. We need a spoon registry. Listen, I am actually not someone who likes more government. I am absolutely a conservative, or at very least a centrist, who leans a little to the right. I don't want more government. I can't stand what people are doing. I don't want this ridiculous gun crap that they're trying to pull. My politics are different than my traffic safety position. I am a former traffic cop who knows about people who get killed and have gone to far too many scenes where people don't go home. And I know that speed kills, and everyone else is just whining about not going the speed they want to. I'm coming from a very different perspective. I'm trying to change driver behavior. My reasoning is not to control or take your money. However, I'm happy to take away your options and your money if you are going to put lives at risk because you're irresponsible. Totally different. I don't want the government to make money. I hope you never get a ticket. I hope no one ever gets a ticket. I hope you never pay $1 because you follow the rules and you keep people safe. That's why it's nothing to do with money and control for me.
No.
Jordan says, "Govern me more, daddy." Everyone's but it's a trigger. It's a bias trigger. It's not the thing.
It really is. I've got a great line from the show I shot today. Let me find this. Where did it go? It is such a great line. I gotta find this.
You find it. I gotta read this. Mark Lauren says, "Force everyone to drive loser cruisers, aka the minivan." He says, "No one ever speeds in a minivan." Not true. I've seen tremendous speeds in a minivan. Not to mention, I've seen horrible collisions where cars travel through minivans, killing everybody inside because they're not built. They're not a safe vehicle, in my opinion. But people absolutely do stupid things in those. Unacceptable Canada says, "If I don't," my statement saying, I think I said he can leave the country if he doesn't like it. He says, "Oh, that's going to be hate speech soon." I'm not a supporter of that. But hey,
we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. No, there's some dumb stuff going. Government's dumb, but anyway, I don't.
Yeah.
I said I'm not talking about politics, but traffic safety is politics.
No, that's a totally different thing, and I would love for people to take performance driving schools and improve their skills. And what happens as a net result of that is a fundamental respect for physics, because you get away with so much and without consequences, but when you've been around it as much as I am, you fully understand the physics that are at play, and there are things that cars will not do. They just won't do it. And the other problem is you got a road surface that's always constantly changing. So braking performance, tire grip is always changing. And I'll lighten it up because I don't mean to lecture, but the line from today's show is braking performance is more progressive than my political views.
That's awesome. It's funny. It's not funny at all. There was some motorcycle where that is currently the rider is in hospital because it was very serious. I saw the media release on it. He lost control on an off ramp on the highway, and I'm guessing it's because cooler temperatures at night right now, and people are not getting used to it. And tires are so important. The contact patch is not very big, and something to start thinking about right now is what are you going to do come winter? Are you getting winters? Are you going to check your tire quality? Things to really consider coming up so that you keep yourself and your family safe. Unacceptable Canada says, "You're a nice guy, Sean. Appreciate it." And then CEO Tommy says, "We miss you as a cop." Let's see here. Studded tires ruin the road. Yes, studded tire is not good and not necessary unless you're in an area with hard pack ice. They don't work well on dry or wet pavement. Not
No.
good for Southern Ontario.
No,
Which is
they do not work in this area. The winter tires that I have are made specifically for this part of the world where we get that slush as a result of salt, and they're great.
Krusty says a cop saying the government's dumb. This is peak. Yeah, you try living in my brain. I'm so all over the place because I really respect the law. I don't respect all the people changing the laws at the moment. But anyway, Decepticons Forever says, "Hey Brian, hey Sean, good to see you. Good to see you too." He wants to know if you're driving on the HOV lane and an emergency vehicle is behind you, blasting emergency lights and sound, and you're on a solid line where you're not supposed to change lanes. Where do you go? You go to the closest curb or edge of roadway. In that case, you'd probably be going to the left curb. Let's see here. Okay. Ban front plates, please. No. They're double. It makes you easier to identify. So we went way longer, which is often what we do. 2 hours is the absolute max, though. I apologize to anybody that we didn't specifically acknowledge, anyone who had wonderful stuff to ask or say, but we'll do this again because we have fun doing it. And that's the thing. Anything you got?
No, except next time we need somebody to come in, jump in on the Zoom.
Yes, absolutely.
And, join us.
You're going to
live.
get cut off in any second. It says less than a minute, so I'm going to hit the music.
Okay.
We're going to say
All right.
goodbye, and we'll talk to you later. Everybody, drive safe, drive sober, have a wonderful night, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for dropping in and spending time. It's one of those things. And Hug Sameach and Shana Tova. It's anyone celebrating. Happy New Year.